You ever seen a 74-year-old man get slammed onto the pavement like a wanted fugitive just for walking home after his heart doctor's appointment? Yeah, that happened to my grandfather. All because Karen. And there's always a Karen scream down the phone. This old man belongs in jail, so he stops wandering around. Catch that old bastard. Call them now. You'd think she'd caught a bank robber, not a tired old man clutching his prescriptions. Minutes later, the cops had Grandpa face down on cold concrete, red and blue lights, painting the neighborhood like we were living in some TV crime drama. Karen stood there, arms crossed, wearing that look, the one like she just conquered the world. But what she didn't see coming was that her little power trip had left a digital trail a mile wide, and 1 week later, the same people who smirked that night would be the ones sweating behind bars. So picture this. I'm in a hospital waiting room, hands shaking, watching Grandpa James. Yeah, James Rose, my rock hooked up to machines, head split open, shoulder twisted out of place. He's just lying there helpless, and I'm clutching my phone, replaying the 911 call Karen made. I'm Tyler Ross, by the way, 26 biometric data analyst, and what I'm about to tell you started with a walk home and turned into a war. It was 6:30 p.m. on a freezing night sky, dark air, sharp enough to cut through denim. Grandpa shuffled off the bus shoes, scraping against wet sidewalk, clutching his little paper bag of heart meds. What he didn't know, 15 AI security cameras were tracking him, red boxes popping up over his head, just a potential threat for walking with a limp. The system flagged him immediately, shooting alerts straight to Karen Whitmore's phone. She didn't even check out the window, just dialed 911. And in her best damsel in distress voice told them a dangerous vagrant was threatening the neighborhood. Within 4 minutes, 2 cruisers screeched up officers jumping out with hands on their weapons. What they didn't know, Grandpa's hearing aid battery had died earlier that day, so all their yelling, he couldn't hear a thing. He just kept shuffling, probably thinking about the leftovers I promised him for dinner. To the cops, though, he looked like a non-compliant threat. They grabbed him hard, slammed him against Mrs. Patterson's brick wall. The crack of his head against brick still haunts my dreams. I heard his shoulder pop from 30 feet away. Blood trickled down his forehead, pain etched on his face while they zip-tied his hands and radioed it in like they'd just taken down John Dillinger. I sprinted out yelling, "That's my grandfather," but it didn't matter. All they saw was a job to finish. By the time I pulled out my phone and started recording, the damage was done. But what truly froze my blood was seeing Karen hiding just behind the big oak at the corner, raising her phone, snapping pictures, typing her own story for the neighborhood app. She looked right at my camera, shook her head, and smiled like she was untouchable. She had no idea she'd just started something she couldn't finish. As the ambulance took Grandpa away, I made a promise 1 week, just one, and I'd show everyone who really owned this neighborhood. I'm not just any angry grandson. I know how these systems work. I spent years building them before I realized what they could be twisted into. Every AI system has a back door, and every tyrant leaves fingerprints. That night after Grandpa was patched up, I started digging. Sitting in my car with a laptop balanced on the dash, I traced the AI camera logs, and what I found made my skin crawl. Pine Sentinel. The HOA's security system wasn't just watching for break-ins. It was profiling residents. Every face got a rating safe monitor or threat. Karen had the power to manually flag anyone, and sure enough, my grandpa had been labeled threat level 3, not by the system, by Karen herself. I called my Aunt Carla, who's a community lawyer, and get this, 4 other families called her the same morning, all with stories of elderly relatives arrested for suspicious activity. It wasn't random. It was a pattern. I wanted revenge, sure, but Carla reminded me there's a difference between justice and just hurting someone back, Tyler. Just as I was sorting through my feelings, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Is this Tyler Ross? This is Marcus Blake. I helped build Pine Sentinel until they fired me for asking questions. I heard about your grandpa. We need to talk. That's how I found out Karen's scheme was deeper than I thought. Marcus told me Karen was using the system to harass, fine, and forcibly buy out elderly residents she wanted out. The AI, just a mask for good old-fashioned greed. He even showed me emails about strategic property acquisition and proof that the cameras were set to flag slow walkers and folks who went outside after dark. You want a twist? Here it is. Karen was using deepfake videos, making old folks look aggressive in AI footage. Marcus even taught me how to spot the watermark codes. Then came the bombshell: this wasn't just about Hillside Pines. Karen and her partner company were beta testing the system in 15 other neighborhoods nationwide. It was a pilot program for a new kind of tech-enabled elder abuse. And she'd been forging legal docs from a law firm that closed 5 years ago to make every detention look legit. By this point, I realized I was outgunned, so I went straight to the cops. And who answers? Detective Sarah Montgomery, the same cop who'd put my grandfather in handcuffs. "Tyler, what happened to your grandpa was wrong," she said. "I want to help you make it right." Sarah gave me police access codes, internal files, and told me that Chief Morrison was in Karen's pocket, thanks to bribes and blackmail from wild parties she'd recorded. Sarah and I put together a plan. We'd expose Karen in 3 steps, document the crimes, push her to overplay her hand, then trap her in front of witnesses and unhackable live streams. But Karen was smart. She caught wind of Sarah helping me, tried to set us up at her own house with a fake break-in. Next day, her own husband David sneaks me USBs of secret HOA meetings. But plot twist, some are fakes. Only the ones matching the AI logs are real. And what's on them, Karen, in her own words? "Old people are dying anyway, we're just speeding up the process." I nearly threw up hearing it. The more evidence we gathered, the more dangerous it got. Karen had faked so many police reports, social media posts, and even forged text messages that by the time she unleashed her counterattack, I looked like the villain. I woke up to a storm. My employer got anonymous tips that I was a cybercriminal, the neighborhood thought I was harassing seniors, and the cops started sniffing around me. So I flipped the script. I posted online that I was giving up, leaving town, taking all my evidence with me. Of course, Karen's goons immediately started tracking me, and that night she and her security broke into my house looking for proof to destroy. But I was waiting hidden, streaming the whole thing live to over 50,000 people. When I stepped out with my phone showing her the audience, Karen didn't flinch. She went full TV villain, spinning a story about me being unstable. But while she talked, I played the real recordings. Her voice, her orders synced to every false arrest. That's when things exploded. Comments flooded in news stations, picked up the feed, and just as Karen started ranting about order and property values, Detective Sarah and the FBI stormed in, handcuffing her and reading her rights, all live. Karen's final words: "There are people above me. You've painted a target on yourself." As the police cars rolled away the neighborhood and the whole country watched a tyrant fall. 1 week after Grandpa's arrest, I was sitting outside the county jail at sunset, Grandpa beside me, shoulder in a sling, but a smile on his face. Karen, Chief Morrison, and Mayor Hayes were behind bars, denied bail, and facing federal charges: conspiracy, elder abuse, fraud, racketeering, you name it. The live stream had racked up over 2 million views. 47 other communities started digging into their own HOA surveillance systems. Congress even took up the James Ross Act, pushing for federal oversight of community surveillance. My grandpa. He used his settlement to help other elderly residents fight HOA abuse. Now every night, Grandpa and I walk his old route with half the neighborhood. Where there was fear, now there's solidarity. Hillside Pines tore down the old surveillance, elected a retired teacher as HOA president, and rewrote the rules to make tech work for people, not against them. So let me ask you, if you saw injustice, would you risk everything to stop it? Would you take on the Karens of the world knowing they've got power, money, and no conscience? Because as I learned, sometimes all it takes is one person and a little digital savvy to turn the tables. Justice isn't automatic. It's made by people who refuse to back down. If this story fired you up, drop a comment. Tell us your own HOA nightmares or where you draw the line between safety and abuse. Hit that like button if you believe communities should protect their elders, not prey on them. And if you're dealing with a little tyrant yourself, well, maybe now's the time to start keeping receipts. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes the good guys really do win.